Thank you very much for staying on the market, please. You're welcome back. Now, about $1.8 billion from the cocoa loan syndication is expected to hit the Bank of Ghana's account in the first week of October. This was after the Cocoa Board had signed an agreement with some 24 banks in Frankfurt, Germany. The following desk report has more.
The $1.8 billion is primarily expected to help Cocoa Board finance cocoa beans purchase from farmers for the next 1 year. However, one of the major beneficiaries of this inflow will be the stability of the Ghana Cedi. This is because the inflows will increase Bank of Ghana's international reserves, possibly to $6.7 billion in the first week of October. One should also not forget about the inflows from the Eurobond donors and the IMF. All these will hit the central bank's account within the next 2 months. This could convince importers, banks and businesses that the central bank is in a good position to support the market with the needed dollars to meet the country's import needs. This could prevent a situation where people demand dollars to protect their investments when they don't actually need it. This morning, a dollar is likely to be sold to you as 3 Ghana cedis, 96 pesos.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Cocoa Board, Dr. Francis Kofi-Opong, says they are committed to using the inflows to ensure that cocoa production target of 900,000 metric tons next crop season is achieved.
Normally, around this time every year, when the loan is announced, Cocoa Board meets its stakeholders to have what we call the PPRC meeting, to determine the various allocations that will go into the financing the crop. And that was with respect to, what we pay to farmers and what we pay to hauliers, what we pay to, for quality control and for other, activities. And that includes the fertilizers, the insecticides, the fungicides, the seedlings, and so on. So that is determined, will be determined at that meeting. We made to ensure that, the targets that we set ourselves, the 850 to 900, that's what we're saying for 16, 17, 850 to 900, so that we could support our farmers to produce that. So long as we also have the blessings of the rains coming at the right time in the right quantities.
All right, so the $1.8 billion secured by Cocoa Board is seen by some analysts as the biggest trade deal covering commodities like cocoa in the world. The 1.47 interest that Cocoa Board would also be paying on the facility has been described as the best in recent times. And the country only last week also went onto the international market and issued a $750 million Eurobond payable after 5 years at an interest rate of 9.25%. Now, what might have accounted for these disparities? And to further explain this situation, then we have on the line investment analyst Samson Akligo to tell us why these two disparities normally exist and what might have accounted for it. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the market, please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, so can you throw some light on the difference between the acquisition of this loan by Cocoa Board and also what Ghana as a country went onto the international market to secure last week, especially the differences in the interest rates to be paid?
Well, clearly I explained that the two transactions are different. Loan syndication by banks on the back of cocoa production is backed by Cocoa Board. This transaction is different from the Eurobond issue that is based on government of Ghana, mainly revenues that will come from the government of Ghana side. So trying to technically put these transactions together is a different thing.
All right. Now, given the precarious nature of our cocoa industry in recent times, you don't think that it should have also been a factor for which this cocoa loan could have slacked or delayed? Because for some time now, we're always talking about, the aging population of our cocoa farmers vis-a-vis cocoa farmers that have been given away for galamsey operations and so on and so forth. Fertilizer situation, the issue of fertilizers to farmers is also quite a controversy here. Couldn't these have been considered?
I think that what I would speak to is more of the pricing of this syndicated loan. And if you look clearly, the rate at which the syndication has occurred this year, I think is slightly higher than previous, on top of my mind. But so you clearly see that clearly the pricing dynamics are different. And therefore, yes, the banks that are syndicating the loan would factor in developments in the cocoa sector. But the most important thing is that even the history of this loan syndication is long, and Ghana's reputation in producing cocoa too is quite established. And most importantly, we have a very centralized system of in the cocoa industry. So I think that yes, we have issues, but whatever issues that we have, based on the fact that this money is being raised on the international market, the banks that are really influencing this transaction, what the pricing would imply is that we have to go typically with the LIBOR plus the period, and of course some of these local risks that has been slapped on it.
Now, last year, Cocoa Board went onto the international market and acquired an interest rate, the loan with an interest rate of 1.19. This year is taking 1.47, yet it's being described as one of the biggest deals. What could account for that?
Oh, yeah, but that's what I explained. So, yes, we could see that the interest rate is higher. I mean, and if it comes in terms of pricing, of course, the higher the risk, you have to pay more in terms of yield. So, clearly, you can see that you have seen some uptick in yield, and the explanation for that really means that in terms of availability of the syndicated facility, we've seen that the dynamics of change in terms of the risk in the cocoa sector, the dynamics of change. I think that the key newsmaker for this is that Ghana continues to actually on the back of cocoa leverage significant FX inflows into the economy, and a lot of people are excited also about it because it provides a direct FX buffer for the country, especially as we go towards the election, and of course as we also go towards the festive season, where ideally with stable energy prices and some, in particular, we've seen some renewed sentiment on the positive side. So if you have FX inflows, you would expect that even we are better situated to handle some consumer upsets during the festive season.
Now the Cocoa Board is expecting a target of 900,000 metric tons. Now, in past times, they have targeted so much, but yet failed to reach the target. In case it fails to reach this year's target, would it impact on its future loan generations?
Certainly, yep.
All right, now let's look at the impact of this syndication loan on the economy, on the Cedi, especially the Cedi stability. Is it automatic that it could stabilize the Cedi in future?
At the moment, it's not sincerely, it's not automatic. But as I explained, we have seen a lot of policy development in recent times that I think in totality makes this loan syndication really reinforce a positive outlook. Most importantly, we have seen the monetary policy rate being maintained. I think this week we've seen this loan syndication. We have also seen the central bank being more open to allowing commercial banks to keep directly their exports process that actually pertains to them. So I think that the loan syndication is actually an additional market comfort in terms of FX stability, and I support that orientation.
Okay, you don't think the impact of the upcoming elections could have any significant impact on this particular development?
No. So no, this is how this is how I look at it. So you have election coming. You expect people to be concerned, and a lot of policy decisions so far have actually has reinforced the fact that people don't need to be as much concerned as before, and the cocoa syndication is also another positive news in that regard. So we've seen the monetary policy rate being maintained, where right now we are understanding that the cocoa syndication has gone through, and these are all positive sentiments, and it should help in market stability.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Samson Kligo. Mr. Samson Kligo is an investment analyst talking about the cocoa syndication loan, which was signed yesterday between Cocoa Board and 24 banks, and for which Cocoa Board is going to have or secure almost $2 billion dollars, of course, for cocoa purchases this season. We're taking a short break here. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Now, the director of the Institute of the Social, Statistical and Economic Research, ISA, Professor Felix Asante, is challenging claims that the economy has turned around. Finance Minister Cedi has in recent times argued the current development shows the economy is improving and has stabilized, a claim that has also been supported by the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
This was economy which suffered shocks. 2.5 years, it's never happened again. We just spoke about commodity price falls. We are not excusing it away, but we are saying that was a reality in the economy. And I think I went through and I gave you the corrections and the measures that we are doing. When the economy goes through these shocks, you do have. Subsidies have become such a big issue because when you remove subsidies from utilities and from, which is not targeted. It goes to people, riding V8s and other, that's not the target for the subsidy. The target for the subsidy is a cross subsidy at the low level. It has a consequence. And what we are telling people is that we are seeing the transformation, the growth would go. By the way, every economy, even mighty US, does not have a constant value of the currency.
So, according to Professor Felix Asante, however, current happenings do not support this development.
I don't think we are picking up. We always talk about the importance of energy in our economy. That is one. And then the second is when you have the economy growing into the negatives, it's so easy to move into positive. So if you have subsectors growing negative, a little effort, and a little effort is constant supply of electricity, just changes everything.
What are some of the variables that you expect anybody to look at that one will be able to make a judgment that the Ghanaian economy, it has turned around?
We are currently running a business as usual approach, and we are just waiting for good weather. We are waiting for an injection of FDI, and then it changes the dynamics of the economy, and then we see growth, and we say the economy is growing. What is the policy direction? For me, I don't see much.
What about those who say that, look at inflation, it's stabilizing a little bit. Look at our Ghana city, it's stabilizing a little bit. Aren't those variables enough to make a judgment that this is an economy that has stabilized?
Fine, stabilizing is good, but we need to understand what is causing the stabilization. Is it human induced or a supply and demand led? And these are things that we need to know. We can let the exchange rates stabilize, but is it supply and demand determining that, or we're making a conscious effort for it to stabilize? And those are questions that we need to interrogate.
So live on the marketplace, and the country has seen quite a number of social enterprises spring up over the past few years, making some substantial impact on the lives of the needy, especially in communities. On a repeat of the Joy Business Fund, some of these social entrepreneurs are making real impact, share their experiences.
Social enterprises are businesses that provide a means to tackle social and environmental problems. They compete in the market like any other business, pursuing and making profit, but the profits are reinvested in the business and not for personal gain. In Ghana, the social enterprise ecosystem is growing steadily, with more and more young people getting involved. Today, the Joy Business Fund makes a stop at the 4th Startup Dialogues, organized in partnership with the African Network of Entrepreneurs and Social Entrepreneurs Ghana, where two of Ghana's notable social entrepreneurs, that is, Regina Honu, founder of Sronko Solutions, which runs a program called Tech Needs Girls, aimed at getting more girls to create technology, and Kefo Siao, there you see him, founder of Street Library, which offers a cost-effective library concept in rural communities, have come to share their experiences with people, young people especially, who are interested in running social enterprises. One challenge every social entrepreneur has to grapple with is money to run the organizations. It would be Regina's challenge too.
In my case, I thought about setting up two businesses, right? So one purely for profit, and then the other a non-for-profit, where the for-profit would fund the non-for-profit. So that was my first thought process, even before I realized that there was a whole movement called social enterprise.
But it's becoming easier to raise funds thanks to impact investors like Reach for Change, who are ready to pump monies into innovative ideas. How innovative then should the idea be?
Now, there are many social problems in every community, and people have tried to tackle them in various ways. Something that's innovative is something that's new and unique for that context. So it may be that somewhere else in the world somebody has tried that, but we know that social problems happen in social contexts, and every country is different. So to borrow an idea from one context into another, you need to localize, you need to modify that solution to fit your local context.
Innovation is giving rise to competition in the space. It's difficult enough to have to compete with businesses outside the space, but what is it like having to compete with businesses in the same space? Hayford says it's something social entrepreneurs have to get used to.
We want to impact lives, so that's like the most essential aspect. But we compete for money, okay? We compete for expert human resource, because one of the key things you can do to sustain your organization is to go out and look for best talent, right? You can have all the money in your organization, but if you don't have the right talent, it will all just run out.
But beyond these, there is still some low level of awareness about the social enterprise ecosystem, and that is what Social Entrepreneurs Ghana, the network of social entrepreneurs, hopes to change.
We can only achieve this if we highlight those who are making difference, those who are doing good and still doing well, those who are doing business but doing good business. And the more we have programs like this, the more we showcase people like Regina and Hayford and Reach for Change, we bring people's attention to the fact that there are some entrepreneurs who are doing great jobs by solving social problems.
Time to hear from the participants, startups in the ecosystem. How are their businesses being shaped by what they've heard today?
First, I have to talk about branding, which I'm lacking. I need to brand my entity, my organization very well to stand out. No matter where I find myself, it should stand out.
So I'm taking away how to scale what I've started, because currently we're operating in a community called Bato in the North-From district. So our long term is to go beyond that boundaries. So scaling, what measures do we put in place so that whatever we are solving out in the community, we'll be able to scale.
One thing everybody's leaving the startup dialogues with though is positivity. Positive, they can make it despite the odds.
So the Business Van comes your way every Wednesday evening on Business Live, with a repeat on Thursday afternoon on the Marketplace. Now, moving on, government is to sign the last security indemnity agreement for the third floating production storage FPSO vessel, which is expected in the country in 2017. The vessel will be used for the offshore Cape 3 Point Sankofa Jinyame project. This was disclosed by the Minister of Finance, Cedi Tekpe, who was speaking in an interview on Joy FM Super Morning Show. He said the energy sector remains a catalyst for national development and that government is investing more in the sector to tap the potential it has for the economy.
Because we saw the potential in oil and gas, particularly Tenfield, and Sankofa. So one of the things that's going to happen tomorrow, the signing of the last security indemnity, that would bring in the Sankofa, the FPSO, the third FPSO is being built. So the investments was taking place. So even though you were going through all this difficulty, you had to also keep your eye whilst you are doing the correction. We entered into an IMF program. The crude oil, which contributed in terms of price and help us, particularly our export base, the value of the currency, the stability and everything crashed from about over 100, dollars per barrel. Today we're at 45, 46. You may be lucky to even get 48, more than half. So, and then we had policy misalignments. Single spine was a major, misalignment. Because the economy was melting, we couldn't support our subsidy programs, and that also was a major misalignment.
Meanwhile, a report by Pan-African Bank Ecobank Ghana says Ghana could become the fourth biggest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa by 2020 once 2 new offshore fields come on stream to push total output above 240,000 barrels per day. The West African country produces around 103,000 barrels per day, ranking it 9th, far behind leaders like Nigeria and Angola, which produce an average of 1.867 million barrels per day and 1.754 million barrels per day, respectively. The Ecobank research says Ghana's Trinidad and Ntome 10 field, which came on stream last August, is expected to increase output to peak of around 80,000 barrels per day. The Jubilee field, which started producing oil in 2010, could bounce back to production of around 115,000 barrels per day once it solves technical problems with its production vessel. At the same time, the Sankofa field, operated by Italian company ENI, is due to open in August 2017 and should produce around 30,000 barrels per day, while U.S. independent Cosmos Energy plans to connect the Mahogany Teak Akasa MTA field to the Jubilee oil production ship. The report says, based on existing fields and field development plans, Ghana crude oil outputs is estimated to be over 240,000 barrels per day by 2019. This could potentially make Ghana the fourth largest oil producer in sub-Saharan Africa by 2020. According to the report, production costs for Ghana's oil projects, which are all in deep water, mean that the crude remains viable if global prices fall to $40 per barrel. Now, finally, the Millennium Development Authority (MIDA) has denied claims there has been a presidential directive to halt all activities in relation to partial privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana (ECG) until further notice. Director of Communications and Outreach at MIDA, Pamela Jamson-Tete, told myjournalline.com the claims attributed to the Secretary of the ECG's Senior Staff Association, Patrick Binyemi, are untrue. A press statement by MIDA clarified that no such directive was discussed at the last meeting, which was held at the Flagstaff House. Meanwhile, Chief of Staff Julius Debra has also denied issuing any statement suspending a concession agreement to cede management of the State Power Distribution Company.
There is a purport story on my Joy Online attributed to me to have directed that MIDA should suspend all negotiations relating to ECG. I wish to say here categorically that I've been in the Upper West for the past 3 days and I've not issued any. To begin with, government have not stated that it is privatizing ECG. That's the first thing that we all need to understand. What government has been talking about is a way of reforming, by signing up to the compact. And in the long run, the objective is how best to improve on the performance of ECG.
And this is where we end Marketplace for today. Thank you very much for your company. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Good afternoon.